The stars in the sky glittered as the galaxy stretched out, silent and vast. In the far reaches of space, the Galactic Empire was watching, plotting, and waiting. Their mission was simple but dangerous. They wanted to control everything in the universe. Nothing could stand in their way. Nothing, that is, except for one small thing: a human child. The Empire had been on a conquest for years, conquering planets, controlling systems, and destroying anything or anyone that opposed them. They were ruthless, and no one dared challenge their power. Their fleets of dark ships traveled from one corner of the galaxy to the next, leaving destruction and fear in their wake. The Galactic Empire was unstoppable. But on a small blue planet, far from the center of the Empire's reach, something unexpected was happening. Earth, a tiny world filled with humans who lived their lives unaware of the dark forces lurking beyond their skies. Among the many people on Earth, there was a child, just an ordinary girl named Ava. Ava lived in a quiet village, far away from the busy cities, where life moved slowly and peacefully. She had no idea that she was about to become the center of an unimaginable battle. She was just a little girl with a big heart, who loved nature and dreamed of adventures. The Galactic Empire had discovered Earth while searching for new worlds to conquer. At first, they had no interest in the planet, but then something strange caught their attention. It was a signal, faint but unmistakable, coming from Earth. The signal was unlike anything the Empire had ever encountered. It was not a signal of destruction or war. Instead, it was a strange, peaceful energy, something the Empire could not understand. Something powerful. The leaders of the Empire, the cruel and calculating lords of the Dominion, gathered in their grand chamber to discuss this unusual discovery. The council was filled with commanders, generals, and warlords who had conquered entire star systems. They were used to overwhelming force and destruction, and they prided themselves on never backing down from a challenge. "We found something," one of the commanders said. "A signal from Earth. It's unlike anything we've seen." The room fell silent as the hologram flickered on the table. The image of Earth appeared, surrounded by stars, its green oceans and blue skies shining brightly. At first glance, it looked like a simple, peaceful planet, but the commanders knew better. They knew that there had to be something more to it, something powerful that Earth was hiding. "We need to investigate this," another commander spoke, his voice dark and menacing. "This power, it could be the key to strengthening our rule." The leaders of the Empire were not known for patience. They quickly decided that they would send a team to Earth to discover what this mysterious signal was and to see if they could control it. But as they prepared their invasion force, one member of the council stood up, his face grim. "Are we sure about this?" he asked. "What if this power is beyond our control? What if this is something we cannot destroy?" The room fell silent again, but the others didn't share his concern. The general who led their forces, a cold and brutal leader named General Vark, stood up and spoke. "We have always controlled what we sought," General Vark said, his voice dripping with confidence. "This is no different. We will destroy whatever we need to. If it's a power we cannot control, then we will simply eliminate it." The decision was made. The Empire would attack Earth, and they would do whatever it took to seize this mysterious power. No one, not even a small human child, would stand in their way. Back on Earth, Ava went about her days as usual. She didn't know that the fate of her planet was being decided in a dark, faraway place. She was simply a girl who loved to play in the fields, to climb trees, and to run through the meadows. She would often sit on a hill overlooking the village, watching the stars at night, dreaming of distant worlds. She didn't know that her dreams were about to become a nightmare. One evening, as Ava sat by the edge of a quiet forest, she felt something strange. A quiet hum in the air. She looked around, but there was nothing. She stood up, brushing off the grass from her knees, and walked deeper into the woods. The feeling grew stronger, almost as if something was calling her. Her heart raced as she followed the sensation, feeling drawn to something unknown. Suddenly, she stumbled upon a small clearing in the forest. In the center of the clearing was an ancient stone circle, its stones covered in moss and vines. Ava had seen the circle before, but tonight it felt different. The air was thick with energy, and as she stepped closer, she noticed a strange symbol glowing faintly on one of the stones. It wasn't like anything she had seen before. It was a symbol that seemed to shimmer and pulse with a strange power. Ava reached out, her fingers barely grazing the stone. The moment she touched it, a jolt of energy surged through her, and she stumbled backward, her heart pounding. She gasped, but before she could understand what was happening, the ground beneath her feet began to shake. The sky above darkened, and a low rumble echoed from the distance. Ava ran back toward the village, her mind racing with fear and confusion. She had no idea what had just happened, but she knew something terrible was about to unfold. She didn't know it yet, but the Galactic Empire had already set its sights on her, and the signal she had unknowingly activated had alerted them to her presence. As Ava reached the village, she noticed that the sky above was no longer clear. Dark clouds gathered on the horizon, and a strange feeling of dread filled the air. People in the village were starting to look up, their faces filled with worry. But none of them could know the truth. None of them knew that their world was about to be torn apart by a force far beyond their comprehension. The Empire's ships had already entered the Earth's atmosphere, cloaked and hidden from view. Their weapons were primed, ready to fire. They were coming for the child, and once they found her, they would stop at nothing to destroy her. The stars above Earth seemed quiet, as if they, too, were holding their breath. On the ground, the people of Earth had no idea what was coming, but in the high command centers of Earth's military, the leaders knew. The Empire's invasion was imminent, and humanity's survival depended on how quickly they could respond. It all started when a young scientist named Dr. Maya Richards noticed an unusual signal coming from Earth's outer atmosphere. Dr. Richards worked for the Earth Defense Organization, a secretive agency tasked with monitoring the planet for threats. She had been tracking interstellar signals for years, but never before had she encountered something like this. The signal was not like any form of communication Earth had ever received. It was a strange, repetitive pulse, as if someone, or something, was trying to make contact. The signal was faint but consistent, and it was growing stronger. Dr. Richards immediately alerted her superior, General Walter Hayes, a stern and experienced leader in the Earth Defense Organization. General Hayes, though used to handling situations of national security, was unprepared for the scale of the crisis that was unfolding. "This isn't normal," Dr. Richards said, her voice urgent as she presented the data to General Hayes. "This signal isn't a transmission from any of Earth's satellites or spacecraft. It's something outside our solar system, something that's been watching us. And now, it's getting closer." General Hayes narrowed his eyes, a mixture of concern and disbelief crossing his face. "Are you suggesting an alien threat?" "Yes, General," Dr. Richards replied firmly. "I believe this is the first step of an invasion." The room went silent. The words alien invasion hung in the air like a dark cloud. Earth had long speculated about the existence of extraterrestrial life, but no one ever imagined a direct threat to humanity. The idea of an alien force coming to destroy the planet was nothing more than science fiction. But the signal could not be ignored. General Hayes made the call to the President of the United States and other world leaders, informing them of the threat. Within hours, the Earth Defense Organization had mobilized its forces, preparing for the worst. Earth's top military officials and scientists gathered in secret war rooms, devising a plan to counter the Galactic Empire. "We can't afford to underestimate them," General Hayes told his team. "This will be unlike any battle we've ever fought. The Empire won't stop until they've achieved their goal. We must act quickly." Back on the surface of Earth, the ordinary people had no idea that the world was on the brink of disaster. In the small village where Ava lived, The skies had become increasingly dark over the past few days. People were uneasy, watching the weather patterns shift, and some began to notice strange ships in the sky. Dark, shadowy shapes that seemed to move just beyond the clouds. The villagers had no idea what they were witnessing. They had no idea that Ava, the young girl, was the reason these ships had appeared. Ava herself had no idea of the gravity of the situation. After her strange encounter with the mysterious stone in the forest, she had tried to tell her parents, but they had dismissed it as her imagination. "It's just a storm, sweetie. Nothing to worry about," her mother had said, reassuring her with a gentle smile. But Ava knew something was wrong. Her heart raced whenever she looked up at the sky. The strange hum that had filled the air during her encounter with the stone had not gone away. It lingered, growing stronger, like a distant voice calling to her, urging her to understand something she wasn't yet ready to comprehend. As the dark ships continued their descent into Earth's atmosphere, Earth's military leaders began to prepare their most advanced weapons. They activated their global defense shield, a massive network of satellites and energy barriers designed to protect Earth from incoming threats. The shield was Earth's most powerful defense, but it had never been tested against something like this. In the command center, General Hayes watched the screen with growing concern. The Galactic Empire's ships were entering Earth's atmosphere at an alarming rate. The fleet was vast, hundreds of massive ships, each one capable of devastating entire cities. The technology they wielded was beyond anything Earth had ever seen. But Earth had something the Empire didn't anticipate: determination. "Activate the planetary defense system," General Hayes ordered, his voice calm but filled with authority. "All forces, prepare for battle. This is no longer a matter of defense, it's a matter of survival." Across the globe, the Earth's military was mobilizing. Fighter jets took off from hidden airbases, while soldiers manned defense posts set up around major cities. Powerful lasers were aimed at the skies, ready to repel any attacks. But even as the forces gathered, there was an eerie sense of helplessness. The sheer power of the Empire's fleet was overwhelming. No one knew if Earth could stand a chance against such an unstoppable force. Back in Ava's village, the atmosphere grew tense. The skies had darkened to an unnatural shade of red, and the clouds seemed to swirl ominously above. Ava, still unaware of the gravity of the situation, stepped outside into the clearing again, her heart racing. She was drawn to the ancient stone circle, the place where the strange energy had surged through her. She didn't understand it, but she couldn't shake the feeling that it was somehow important. As she stood in the center of the stone circle, a sudden explosion rocked the air above her. Ava gasped and looked up, her eyes widening in horror as she saw the Empire's ships looming in the sky. The dark ships moved swiftly, their weapons already primed for destruction. The people of Earth were about to face their greatest challenge. And yet, Ava had no idea that the Empire was coming for her. Her connection to the mysterious signal had made her the target of their deadly mission. The Empire had learned of her existence, and they would stop at nothing to eliminate her. As the first wave of Empire ships began to attack, Earth's defense systems activated. The global defense shield shimmered brightly, blocking incoming energy blasts from the Empire's fleet. But it was not enough. The power of the Empire's weapons was too great, and the shield was beginning to fail. General Hayes watched in frustration as his forces engaged the alien ships, but the battle was proving to be more than they could handle. The Empire's technology was far superior, and their firepower was overwhelming. The humans fought valiantly, but they were losing ground. Meanwhile, on the surface, Ava could feel the energy surge again. This time, it was stronger than before. It pulsed through her, filling her with a strange sense of purpose. She didn't know why, but she knew she had to act. Somehow, she had to stop what was happening to protect her people and her planet. The connection she had with the ancient stone was becoming clearer, and she could feel the power within herself growing. As she turned toward the village, she could see the distant explosions lighting up the sky. The ships were firing relentlessly, and chaos was unfolding around her. It was then that she realized, this wasn't just a storm. This was a battle for survival. Ava knew she couldn't stand by and do nothing. Something deep within her urged her to take action. The fate of Earth was in her hands, and she had to find a way to stop the Empire before it was too late. The world was trembling. The once peaceful skies above Earth were now a battlefield. Dark ships from the Galactic Empire filled the heavens, casting ominous shadows over the cities and towns below. Earth's defenses were pushed to their limits, but the enemy's overwhelming firepower and superior technology seemed unstoppable. As the battle raged on, all hope seemed lost. But something was changing. In the heart of the chaos, in the small village where Ava lived, the young girl who had unknowingly become the center of the invasion felt something stir inside her. Her connection to the mysterious energy of the ancient stone circle had deepened, and with it, her sense of purpose. Ava was no longer just a scared child running from the unknown. She was a beacon of hope, and she could feel the power coursing through her, awakening a strength she never knew she had. As Ava stood in the clearing, gazing up at the ships above, she felt the pulse of energy once again, stronger than ever before. It was as if the entire planet was calling to her, urging her to act. The sky was filled with flashes of light as the Empire's fleet unleashed its fury upon Earth. But Ava knew she couldn't stay passive any longer. She had to fight. Meanwhile, on the front lines, General Hayes and the Earth Defense Organization were doing everything in their power to protect the planet. The military had activated every weapon in their arsenal, from laser cannons to powerful electromagnetic pulses. But the Galactic Empire's ships were too advanced. The first wave of attacks had shattered Earth's defenses, and now the Empire's fleet was moving in for the final strike. "We can't hold them off much longer," General Hayes muttered under his breath as he watched the battle unfold on the screens in front of him. The world's most powerful weapons were no match for the Empire's fleet. Humanity's best chance at survival was fading fast. But there was one thing General Hayes still clung to: the mysterious energy signal that had come from Earth. He couldn't ignore the possibility that it was connected to the child, Ava. Back in the village, Ava felt a strange pull, as if the very ground beneath her was urging her to move forward. The energy that had been dormant within her was now awakening, and she could sense that her time had come. Without thinking, she ran toward the stone circle, where she had first encountered the strange force that had changed her life. She didn't fully understand what was happening, but she felt an undeniable connection to the stones, as if they held the answers she needed. As she reached the center of the circle, the energy intensified. The air around her shimmered with power, and she could feel the ground vibrating beneath her feet. Ava's heart raced as she stood in the middle of the circle, her arms outstretched, as if ready to receive whatever power awaited her. Suddenly, a bright light engulfed her, blinding her for a moment. When the light faded, Ava found herself surrounded by a strange aura. She was no longer just a child. She had become something more. Something powerful. The energy that had once seemed so mysterious and foreign to her now flowed through her veins, guiding her every movement. It was as if she had become one with the planet itself. The stones had awakened her latent abilities, unlocking a force within her that was as old as the Earth itself. She was the planet's chosen protector, and she could feel the weight of that responsibility settle upon her shoulders. Ava closed her eyes and focused on the energy surrounding her. She could sense the Empire's ships above, the chaos they were causing, and the desperation of the people below. The world was on the brink of destruction, and it was up to her to stop it. With a deep breath, Ava raised her hands toward the sky. She didn't know what would happen, but she trusted in the power that had awakened within her. The ground beneath her feet rumbled, and a wave of energy shot up into the sky, creating a massive shockwave that rippled through the atmosphere. The Empire's ships faltered as the energy hit them, their systems malfunctioning for a brief moment. At that same moment, General Hayes, still in the command center, watched in awe as the screen showed a strange, powerful surge of energy emanating from the Earth's surface. He knew immediately what was happening. Ava had activated the power of the planet itself. "We've got a chance," he said, his voice filled with disbelief. "She's doing it. She's fighting back." The first wave of Empire ships, disoriented by the sudden surge of energy, began to retreat. But they were not the only threat. The Empire had sent reinforcements, larger and more powerful ships, and they were closing in fast. The battle for Earth was far from over. Ava, however, wasn't done. She could feel the Empire's ships coming again, their energy weapons charging for another deadly strike. She could feel the anger and hatred radiating from them, the desire to destroy everything in their path. But she also felt something else, something stronger, the will to protect. With newfound strength, Ava focused all her energy into the palm of her hands, and a brilliant light erupted from her. The light shot up into the sky, tearing through the dark ships above. The Empire's fleet began to explode one by one, their ships breaking apart as the light washed over them. It was as if Ava had become a weapon of pure energy, a force capable of dismantling even the mightiest of enemies. In the command center, General Hayes and his team watched in amazement as the Empire's ships fell from the sky, burning as they disintegrated in the atmosphere. The tides of the battle were turning. Earth was not just defending itself anymore. It was fighting back, with Ava leading the charge. But even as the Empire's fleet was pushed back, a new threat emerged. The largest of the ships, a massive warship that dwarfed all the others, descended from the clouds, its dark silhouette blotting out the sun. This was the Empire's flagship, and it carried their most powerful weapons. If Ava couldn't stop it, Earth would be lost. Ava's heart pounded in her chest as she sensed the massive ship above. She could feel its power, its threat, and she knew this was the final test. She had already tapped into the energy of the planet, but now she had to do something more, something that would push her abilities beyond their limits. With her hands raised high, Ava focused every ounce of energy into the center of the Earth. The ground trembled as she called upon the planet's core, summoning its power to join her in the battle. A massive shockwave erupted from the Earth, sending a wave of energy up through the atmosphere. The flagship's shields flickered as the energy collided with them, causing the ship to stagger in midair. Ava could feel the strain. She was pushing herself to the edge, but she couldn't stop now. The flagship fired its weapons, but the energy shield Ava had created around herself and the planet absorbed the blasts, weakening the Empire's ship further. With one final surge, Ava sent a blast of energy so powerful it shattered the flagship's shields, breaking through its hull and causing it to explode in a burst of light. The remaining Empire ships scattered in retreat, their forces decimated by the combined might of Ava and Earth's defense systems. The battle was won. Earth had survived. Ava, exhausted and weakened, collapsed to her knees in the stone circle. The power that had surged through her faded, and the world around her began to calm. The dark ships that had once filled the sky were now nothing more than debris, falling to the Earth's surface as the sun began to rise over the horizon. As Ava gazed up at the sky, a sense of peace washed over her. She had saved her planet. She had become its protector. And though the battle was over, the world would never be the same again. The Galactic Empire had been defeated, but Ava knew that the universe was vast, and other threats would come. But now she was ready. She was no longer just a child. She was a guardian, and she would stand strong, no matter what the future held. The morning sun rose over the horizon, casting a golden light on a world that had just been torn apart by war, but now stood on the brink of healing. The sky was still streaked with the remnants of the epic battle that had unfolded just hours before. The remnants of the Galactic Empire's fleet now lay scattered across Earth's surface, darkened ruins of what had once been a mighty force. The ground beneath Ava's feet still felt the tremors of the energy surges that had shaken the planet, but the immediate threat was gone. Ava, still trembling from the strain of her immense battle, knelt in the center of the ancient stone circle. The immense power that had flowed through her had now faded, leaving her feeling weak and vulnerable, her once vibrant connection to the planet now distant, as if it had been a dream. She could still feel the echoes of the power, but it was no longer as overwhelming. Her hands rested on the cool stone, and she looked up at the sky. The light was slowly returning to the world. She had saved Earth. The Galactic Empire had been defeated, their forces scattered, their flagship destroyed. Yet in the silence that followed, Ava felt a deep sense of loneliness, as if she had lost something even more precious than her energy, the sense of purpose that had driven her throughout the battle. Had she truly won? Or was this just the beginning of something even darker? From the sky above, the once dark ships of the Empire had crumbled, and the soldiers within them were either dead or retreating. But Ava could not shake the feeling that the victory came at a cost. The planet had been saved, yes, but how many lives had been lost? How many families had been torn apart by the Empire's assault? Ava had destroyed the ships, but what about the people who had fought on both sides? Were they now to be forgotten in the wake of this cosmic war? She closed her eyes, letting the winds brush her face, and whispered a prayer for peace. She prayed not only for the lives lost, but for the healing of the world, of the people who had survived the chaos. And as she whispered, she felt something. A presence. A connection. It wasn't the same energy that had empowered her before, but it was something just as important. A sense of gratitude and unity. The Earth, she realized, was not just a planet. It was alive, connected to every living thing, every individual. She had become a part of it, just as every person on Earth was a part of her. It was a powerful realization, one that brought her peace in her heart. But that peace was short-lived. Back in the Earth Defense Organization's command center, General Hayes and his team were still reeling from the aftermath of the battle. They had survived the invasion, but at what cost? Many cities had been destroyed, and countless lives had been lost in the crossfire. Earth's military forces had fought valiantly, but the Empire's attack had been devastating. "We need to rebuild," General Hayes said, his voice solemn as he watched the reports come in from across the globe. "But we also need to prepare. The Empire is gone for now, but they won't stay gone forever." His words hung in the air like a dark cloud. Even though Earth had won this battle, it was clear that the war was far from over. There was no guarantee that the Galactic Empire would not return, or that other forces in the universe wouldn't see Earth as a target. General Hayes knew that humanity could not afford to be complacent. They had to stay vigilant. But there was another matter at hand. Ava, the girl who had become Earth's savior, the one who had wielded unimaginable power. She was not just a hero. She was now the key to Earth's future. "Ava is the key," Dr. Richards said, speaking for the first time in hours. "We need to understand what happened to her. That power she tapped into. It's unlike anything we've seen. It's not just a weapon. It's a force, and we need to learn how to control it. If we can harness it, we'll be able to protect Earth from whatever comes next." General Hayes nodded. "We'll need her help, but we must tread carefully. Ava is just a child, and we don't know the full extent of what she's capable of. We can't force her into anything. She saved us, but that doesn't mean she owes us." Ava had, indeed, saved them, but at what cost to herself? She had risked everything to protect the planet. And now, as the world began to rebuild, she needed to know what her future held. Could she ever return to her peaceful life, or was she bound to a destiny she didn't fully understand? As the days passed, Ava's life slowly began to change. The world celebrated her as a hero, but she struggled to come to terms with the power that had been thrust upon her. She was not the same girl who had once climbed trees and played in the meadows. She was someone else now, someone who had saved the planet, but also someone who had faced unimaginable challenges. She returned to the village, the place where it had all begun. Her parents were waiting for her, their faces filled with concern, yet proud. They had always known Ava was special, but they had never imagined how truly extraordinary she was. "I'm so proud of you," "Ava," her mother whispered as they embraced. "But what now? What comes next for you?" Ava smiled softly, but her heart felt heavy. "I don't know, Mom. I don't know if I'm meant to be anything more than who I was before. I don't know what's going to happen to me now." Her father stood beside them, looking out at the distant horizon. "You'll figure it out," he said gently. "You've always known what to do. You saved us all. Whatever happens, we'll be here for you." Ava nodded, grateful for their support, but deep inside, she wondered if she could ever return to the life she had known. Could she go back to playing with her friends? Could she go back to being the carefree child she had once been? Meanwhile, in the command center, General Hayes and Dr. Richards were working tirelessly to analyze the data from the battle. They had gathered every piece of information they could about the Galactic Empire's forces, their technology, and the mysterious energy that Ava had used. But as they worked, they realized that the true threat was not just the Empire. It was the unknown forces beyond the stars. "We need to be prepared for what's next," General Hayes said as he stood over a holographic display of the galaxy. "The Empire may be gone for now, but we can't afford to be blindsided again. We have to train the next generation of defenders. Ava may be the key to Earth's survival, but she's also just one person. We need more. We need to understand this power and use it to protect Earth." Dr. Richards nodded in agreement. "Ava is special, but she can't do it alone. We need to find a way to help her. She's carrying the weight of the world on her shoulders, and if we don't help her harness that power, it could consume her." As the world continued to heal, Ava's role in it was still uncertain. She had saved the planet, but now she had to figure out what came next. The battles were over, but the future was still filled with questions. Could Ava continue to protect Earth? Could she live a normal life again? Ava's journey had only just begun. The victory was bittersweet. The Empire had been defeated, but Ava knew that more challenges awaited her. The universe was vast, and who knew what other threats lay beyond the stars? But for now, Ava allowed herself to be with her family, to enjoy the simple moments of life. The battle had been won, but the true resolution would come in time, as she discovered who she was meant to be, and what role she would play in the future of Earth and the galaxy.